Hello there, my name's Ming. I'm from Richmond Maths Tutors. We are a husband and wife team helping children with their maths from KS1, 7 pluses, KS2, 11 pluses, KS3, GCSEs, and all the way up to A-level maths. And today we're going to do a short presentation on the interviews for the 11 pluses. This will be broken up into 3 main areas. We'll talk about the types of questions involved, the preparation before the interview, and be sharing some ideas of what to do during the interviews. The types of questions involved will be broken down into further 4 areas. So roughly some warm-up questions, some general questions, some specific academic questions, and some brain teasers and open discussion ones. We'll start off by talking about the introductory and warm-up questions. These questions may include, tell me about yourself. How would your friends describe you? Describe yourself using 3 adjectives. What's your favorite subject? These questions are all to ease children into the interview process itself. Schools are not in the business of scaring children away. The child has done really well to get to this stage, and they just really want to find out a bit more about your child. And it works both ways. It's a great opportunity for your child to find a bit more about the school. And so these are just to warm them into the conversation. General questions such as, why do you want to come out to our school? What's the difference between our school and the school that you're coming from? Tell me about a lesson that you really enjoyed, what made it enjoyable, why you suited our school. These are slightly more guided to the formal questions, where the interviewer wants to direct the conversation to slightly more focused areas. Specific academic questions are designed really to find out if your child simply calculates really quickly, or do they understand the concepts which they've learned. So things like, what's the difference between volume and area? You could quite simply answer, well, width times length times height is volume, and width times length is area. But a much better answer would be something like, well, volume is the amount of stuff in a 3-dimensional space, and area is the amount of stuff in a 2-dimensional space. Because it shows a deeper understanding and a much more intuitive understanding of these terms. And say for the second question here, where you add up all the numbers between 1 and 10, you could brute force the calculation just by adding up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. But it'd be much better to do, say, 1 and 10, 2 and 9, 3 and 8, 4 and 7, 5 and 6, as number bonds to 11. This way, not only do you calculate a lot faster, you're also more accurate as well. For the third question, what 2 numbers give a product of 72 and the sum of 17? You could try a guess and check, but it's better to develop certain strategies by looking at the problem, and also different ways of solving the problem as well. So for this particular question, one strategy you could take is finding out what are the factors of 72 and the pairs of factors that add up to 17. Or from the other way, you can say, well, what number bonds add up to 17 and then they multiply to 72. For the English ones, which I've written down here, I won't really try to embarrass myself and attempt to answer them because that's not my area of expertise, I'm afraid. Brain teasers and discussion questions such as, what is bravery? What would the world be like if it was ruled by monkeys? Not that far off for these couple of years. Is there more happiness or sadness in the world? What's more important, being right or nice? These questions don't necessarily have an answer to them. No, there's no right or wrong. It's much more important to be able to identify pros and cons, but be prepared to give a reason behind your ideas. If you have some sort of evidence as well, even better. But it's really important to try and present a balanced argument even for both sides even. So you don't necessarily have to make a choice of whether you think being right or being nice, but be able to identify that, well, they both could be, depending on which way you view the question. So say, for example, for the last one, how many bricks make a wall? You could quite easily argue that, well, no bricks necessarily are needed to make a wall. If the wall is in your mind and you limit yourself, so that's kind of a figurative wall. So it's really more of a platform to show that there's a thinking process, as opposed to somebody who's just been conditioned in a particular way. Preparations before the interview. Things that you can do before with your child is to look at the school website, write down some interesting things that you might like. Schools may not be open for actual visits, but you can certainly drive by just to talk about the actual school building, watch the virtual tours. And if you get to speak to somebody or you notice the video, mention that you've seen the video of whichever teacher and you really enjoy the experience. And practice. Just practice a simple interview with some friends or parents or a teacher, and think about what you're going to wear, or rather what your child's going to wear. It's important to wear something smart but comfortable. And make sure your child has some genuine questions that they have about the school. During the interview, when you first meet teachers, always try and smile. Make direct eye contact, and under normal circumstances, shake their hands. This year being slightly different, of course. When you ask questions, always try to incorporate your hobbies or interests into your answers. So say, for example, do you think you're a resilient person? Rather than saying, yes, I am. Because to say, yes, I think I'm a resilient person. I've spent 2 years past 2 years playing the piano, or I'm a grade 3 piano. Or if you do a lot of sports, saying, yes, I think I'm resilient. I go and play football every weekend with the club or with the school, and that shows the level of resilience. During this entire process, it's always important to try and stay relaxed and breathe. You're not expected to talk like a machine gun. Don't be afraid to take pauses and think about your reply. It shows that you're quite happy with thinking before you respond. And lastly, be yourself and be honest. You've done extremely well to get to the interview stage. So now's the time to show that you're confident and stay calm.